So over the Easter holiday, and certainly over this past Holy Weekend, the New York Times tried to do their best to cancel God. That's right. The real big man is now on the list of cancellations. So here's this mind-boggling headline released just before Easter from a New York Times writer in which he proposed, quote, "In this time of war, I propose we give up God." All right, now there's so much here that, let me just start here. Like, what time of war? Oh, you mean the war you know nothing about and that doesn't even impact you except for higher gas prices, which, by the way, has to do not with Putin's price hike, as we've been told over and over and over again, but actually more to do with Biden's policies than they do with the Russian invasion of Ukraine? Look, all that aside, I'm sure this invasion has nothing to do with God, so I'm not even sure why you bring God up into the midst of it. So we'll get back to that in just a moment, but I want to get into just one paragraph from the article. So it says this, quote, "God, it seems, paints with a wide brush. He paints with a roller. In Egypt, said our rabbi, he even killed the firstborn cattle. He killed cows, and if he were mortal, the God of Jews, Christians, and Muslims would be dragged to the Hague. And yet we praise him, we emulate him, we implore our children to be like him. Perhaps now, as missiles rain down and the dead are discovered in mass graves, it's a good time to stop emulating this hateful God. Perhaps we can stop extolling his brutality. Perhaps now is a good time to teach our children to pass over God, to be as unlike him as possible." So a couple things. All right. In Egypt, God was delivering slaves from slavery, and he actually started very mercifully and built with the 10 plagues, building up until the eventual ultimate punishment, which, yes, was death. But do these people who were enslaving people for years and generations not have to pay, and should not they pay for their crimes? Did this social justice warrior who's writing this forget that he should care deeply about slavery? We're so obsessed with racism in the West, for crying out loud, that we suggest that it's racist to ID a black person when they're trying to vote, just to make sure that they're actually eligible to vote. And I'm still so curious about how God has anything to do with missiles raining down on mass graves. Like, what is he even talking about? I can only imagine he's talking about the Ukrainian invasion, but that's just kind of a bit of insanity because it really clearly has nothing to do with anything religious in nature. So the bigger problem here is just that God was a killer and a murderer. Man, I cannot tell you how many times I have heard this from atheists, especially agnostics or whatever, but people who want to critique Christianity. So just a bit of caution here for my friends. Listen, if you don't know anything about the Bible, you should probably not talk about it so much. You sound silly when you do that. With a book like the Bible, context is king. And the context in these stories where God is plucking off people, he's doing this to people who were murderers of innocent people, rapers of women and children, and people who subjugated whole people groups based upon their nationality and their religion. And he did this to people who sacrificed babies on altars, like living babies, lighting them on fire. Bro, I'm sorry. That deserves strong action. And while the social justice warrior left wants to pretend they're not the fascist in this country, they're the first to say we should cancel our enemies and silence all free speech from people who disagree with us. By the way, they're doing that with Elon Musk right now. If conservatives can't be canceled on Twitter, what's the purpose of Twitter? This is what they're asking themselves right now. And it's so revealing. But the point is anyway, they're the first to strike on these things. And when real world danger like this comes around, where are they? Is our world a better place without Hitler or Stalin? Just a quick question. And then if so, why is this pseudo-moralist raging out when God eliminates truly wicked people? I'll tell you why. Because it's a dishonest attempt to disagree with biblical ideas. These people actually hate God, but they can't admit that they hate God because then they'd have to admit that he's real. So rather than to be honest, they contrive an argument based upon people's ignorance of the Bible. So in other words, they lie, and arguments based upon lies are usually only as useful as you let them be. So don't fall for this nonsense. Please, you may hate Christians. You may hate organized religion. You may even hate God, but be honest about it and be honest about your ignorance on the matter. It will save you egg on your face when you go to write very, very dumb articles like this one. Just a small encouragement too, by the way, you may find that if you're not just interested in trashing the Bible, there's actually some interesting stuff in there that can help you be a better thinker. I mean, where do these people actually learn to think in these foolish ways? Oh yeah. elite universities in the United States.
You can catch brand new episodes of Indie Thinker with Reed Huberman every Monday and weekly bonus episodes to keep you thinking throughout the week. But you have to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when new episodes drop. If you enjoy this content, make sure to like this video and share it with friends.